started on this project, you should have downloaded the Mighty Roma project files from the class page. Once you uncompress it, have a look inside of the folder. Inside this folder, here's what I'm giving to you. First off, there's a variety of different subfolders. Inside the text folder, this is all of the text that you will be using inside of your menu template. As you scroll down, it'll clearly indicate what should be there and where it should be placed. Your job is to appropriately copy it and paste it into the design and also format it so that it fits well for your layout. Additionally, in the Images folder, I'm giving you a variety of different pictures that you can pick and choose from. Pay close attention to the name of each of the pictures, as that will dictate where it's appropriate to use them. Additionally, you don't have to use all of the pictures. In most cases, you'll simply be using one or so from each of the different sections. Finally, I'm also giving you a variety of different logos. It's essentially the same logo, just done in both white, full color, and black versions. Once you're ready, double-click on the Menu Template InDesign file. This should launch Adobe InDesign. Now, I want to give you fair warning. If you're using an older version of Adobe InDesign and you attempt to open this file was probably created on a newer version of InDesign. Very often you can convert the file. By choosing Convert, this will upload it to Adobe's InDesign processor and create a newer version of it. If you can't convert it, then you need to update your version of Adobe InDesign to the latest version so that you can open this file. Once it's opened, you should be able to click through and see that we have two different pages. This is page 1 and this is page 2 of our file. Also note that right now I'm working in just normal viewing mode. If you need to, you can go back to the very bottom and choose between preview to normal so that you can see all of the bounding boxes and the edges and the pasteboard of your design. Now, I'm going to choose to work in the advanced setting. So I'm going to go up to Window, down to Workspace, and choose Advanced. This will open up my control panel as well as put some of the more commonly used panels and palettes off to the side. If you click on your Pages panel, you get quick access to either page 1 or page 2. If you click on your Swatches panel, you can expand this out and notice that there are a variety of different color swatches that you can pick and choose from under the Roma swatches. If you can't see them, you may need to open up that folder. Feel free to use any one of these swatches as you see fit when you start to colorize your design. Finally, pay attention that there are currently no paragraph or character styles saved under this design as well. You will be responsible for finding appropriate fonts, typefaces, and matching the sizes and design so that it fits your entire design. As you start to lay out the text, I want you to use paragraph and character styles to format and quickly edit the entire design layout that you have. Now, in looking at the structure of this file, you'll quickly notice that this is meant to be a tri-fold brochure. This means that it's going to be folded into 3 different panels. The front panel on this first page is located here. You can see there's room for the logo, a tagline, contact information, and even a place for a picture. This is the back panel in the middle that has the food reviews and the contact information. There's even room at the bottom to put a QR code. And then finally, this is the inside flap that has a picture and menu 1. If you scroll down to page 2, it has a similar setup. There's 3 different columns. Each has its own menu and a place for a picture. Notice that inside of each menu, you have a title for your menu, you have a little bit of body copy that tells about what it is, and then you have a place for each food name and description and its price. As you lay everything out, everything should look consistent. So as you set up your paragraph styles, if you need to make changes, make sure a change to 1 is reflected on all of your design. So to get started, I'm going to step through a few parts of this project just to give you a few things to think about. Let's start off with this first part on the far right-hand side. This will be the front of our panel. If we go back and have a look at our text, you can see this will give us the name of everything. Here's our tagline and our contact information. Here, I'll double click to open it up in our text editor. And let's copy and paste over a few things. I'm going to highlight my tagline, go up to Edit and Copy, or Command C. I'll jump into this tagline area and highlight it, go to Edit and Paste. This will paste it into here. Let's do the same thing with our contact. For orders and reservation, we'll copy the phone number, then jump into here and use our Type tool to highlight it and paste it. And then finally, let's do the website. Copy it and paste it. Now, if you ever place anything inside of here, notice that I ran out of room to have it fit in this area. There's two things I can do. I could select my text box and then click on the edges of it to make it wider until it fits. Or I can select my text. Remember, we can go to Edit and Select All. This will select everything inside the text box, and then we can change the size of it. Later on, we'll discuss changing the font and also what's appropriate for font sizes. While we're here, let's also place our logo and an image inside of this. Remember, to zoom out, we can use our zoom tool and hold down the Option key and click back a couple of times. Additionally, with your selection tool selected, your black arrow, we can hold down the space bar and move around. I want to put my logo up here at the top. I've got nothing selected on my design. I've clicked off here on the pasteboard. Let's go up to File and down to Place, and let's locate those logos. I know I have everything saved on my desktop in the Mighty Roma folder. Here's the Logos folder. And for now, I'm just going to put on the color version of it, although later I may swap over to a different version. We'll say Open. Now, because I have nothing selected, this is going to follow my cursor. I want to make sure that this logo is lined up nice and center inside of this column. So I'm going to place it between these two magenta guidelines. I'm going to click and drag, and as I drag, I can let go, and that places my logo right there. If necessary, I can also use my selection tool to drag it down, or I can even use the arrow keys on my keyboard to nudge it up and down as well. Let's place a picture down here. With it selected, let's go to File and Place. You can find all of your pictures in the Images folder. And again, some of these are more appropriate than others to place. There's no specific one that you can place inside on the front page, so I'm just going to use one of these other ones just as a filler for now. I like this Specials picture, so I'm going to place it and say Open. Here it is filling up the entire area. Remember, if you want to scale this or otherwise crop it or move it around, with your selection tool, you can click on the edges of the frame and recrop it. Or you can click on the inside, the little content grabber here in the middle, and this will allow you to move the picture around. Or you can click on the edges and scale it up here. If you hold the Shift key, it will scale proportionally. To make sure that you don't accidentally squash this image, like you can see how it's squashed down now, always pay attention to the two numbers that are up here at the top. They should both be exactly the same because those are the percentages for the height and the width. If you do find that they're off, you can unlink them and then simply type in two of the same numbers. In this case, I'm going to type in 50% for the width and 50% for the height. Now when I lock it back down, you can see my image has returned to its proportional value. Let's place it back up here at the top. Another way to quickly get it to fill the entire area of your selected frame is to go over to your Properties panel. I don't see my Properties open, so I'm going to go to Window, down to Properties. Here we are. And remember, at the very bottom of your Properties panel, you can tell things to fit the content to it. In our case, fitting it proportionally fills it back out, or you can tell it to fill the frame, and the entire frame will be filled. Again, using the basic skills that we've used, start to lay out different parts of this design. Let's have a look at the back. This is where our food reviews are going to be. If you have a look at our text document, you can see we've got 3 reviews from Sophia, Luca, and Emma. As we've done with the others, let's copy and paste over their information. Highlight it, Command C, Review 1. I'm going to do Command and the plus sign to zoom in a bit more. Then I can double click to highlight Review 1 and I can paste it. There it is set there. Returning back here, I can see she gives 5 stars and here is her review. Copy it, place your text inside of here. I want to make sure to get all of the text that's inside of this. So I can either highlight it and hit delete, and highlight it and hit delete. That's a lot of information. Or I can go up to edit and select all, and I can delete it, and then I can paste it. Later on, we'll move things around so that we can see everything. Repeat this process for review 2 and 3. For this third review, I've noticed that she only gave it 4 stars. That means I need to get rid of one of these stars down here. Each of these stars is grouped together, so if I wanted to delete one of them, I can use my white arrow direct selection tool, deselect everything, and then carefully just click on one of the stars. If you need to, it helps to zoom in. When I hit the delete key, this will delete away either a point, and if I hit it again, it'll completely get rid of the star altogether, leaving the 4 stars that we need. If we scroll down, we can also see we've got some contact information we need to copy and paste over as well too. So here's their address, Command C, Command V. Here's the phone number again. You can triple click and paste it. And the email, again, triple click and paste it. And then finally the website. If you want, you can do Command A, that'll select all, and you can paste that in there too. When I zoom out, the last things that we need on this back page are of course the pictures, and I want to add a QR code down here at the bottom. The images of 3 of the reviewers are found in the Images file. So let's go to File and Place, and here they are at the top. Notice that Sophia has brown hair, Luca is the only boy that's in this, and then Emma has the dark hair. If you want to select all 3 of them, and they're all grouped together, you can hold the Shift key and click on all 3, or you can also hold the Command key and select individual ones that you've got. In this case, I've got all 3 selected. I'm going to say Open, and they're all 3 going to follow my cursor. Since this is this is Emma, I'm going to carefully click on this round one down here to place her inside of this one. There's Luca, and finally there's Sophia. If necessary, you can now click on the inside of their content frame. I'm going to zoom in so I can see it. And let's make sure their pictures are nice and centered inside of this area. I think she's centered up well. Let's see if we can move or nudge Luca over just a bit more. Remember to hold your Shift key as you click on the edge. I'm going to drag him up until he's there in the center. I think that's too much. Maybe I'll keep him down. And then finally Emma, looks like she's good there too. So this is the best we can crop each one of these. To create the QR code down at the bottom, I'll scroll down here. We will need to have the HTML for the website. So I'm going to highlight the website using my type tool. I'm going to copy it. Then I'm going to deselect everything. Use your selection tool and just click on the pasteboard. To generate a QR code, go up to Object and down to Generate QR Code. In our case, we're going to be generating a website hyperlink. Since I've got it copied, I'll paste it into here. The only thing we need to add is the http://. This makes it an active and working URL. If you need to, you can also choose a color for your design. Later on, we can change this up. For now, I'm going to choose some of these Roma colors, and we'll use the bright red. We'll say OK to it. Remember, because we have nothing selected, it's going to follow our cursor until I click and drag and place it down here at the very bottom. If necessary, you can use your selection tool and you can move things over and kind of visually eyeball it for now. The last thing I'll demo is the setup for this inside third panel. Just like the others, we want to pay attention to what the text is going to be. This first menu, if we scroll down, is going to be the dessert menu. So let's copy that over. Command C. We'll change menu 1 to dessert menu. Here's a little bit of body copy to describe it, so copy that, and we'll place that inside of here. Again, to select all of it is Command A, and then Command V to paste it. And then finally, notice that we have the name, the price, and the description of each one of the different dishes. I'm going to carefully copy the name and put it inside of food name up here. Again, if necessary, zoom in so that you can easily see everything. Finally, if necessary, you can also bring things out. Let's copy over the price, $8.50. And then let's copy over the description. Command C, highlight it all, and Command V. And again, if necessary, we can always change things up. Take some time and copy and paste over all of the different food names and their descriptions. But remember, at this time, don't worry so much about the sizing and the font choices. That's going to come in just a moment. With this done, let's scroll up. Let's go ahead and put a picture inside this area. Since this is part of the dessert menu, we'll go to File and Place. And let's find a dessert picture. Again, as long as we don't use the same one twice. Whoops, excuse me. There's another dessert up here. Let's put it in name format so I can see all of them. There's this and there's this. I kind of like this picture of the pie. We'll say Open. Again, to move the picture of the pie up, I'm going to select the content grabber in the middle and then drag up until it's nice and centered and placed within the frame. If necessary, we can also click on the edges of it and hold down the Shift key as we scale up. Now I can go to View and let's fit the page to the window so I can see the entire page. If I want to preview this and what it would look like without seeing all of the bounding boxes, or if it was printed, remember you can go down to your bottom of your panel and choose the preview mode. And so far so good on the layout. The last thing I can do is to start to clean up the text and use paragraph styles to make it a little bit easier to format the rest of my design. Now, in looking at the layout, remember we're treating this as 3 separate panels, so let's think about the hierarchy of each panel. Going back to the first panel, right now you can see there's already a hierarchy kind of established. We've got the logo, Mighty Roma. We've got its little tagline. They want to call out the order reservations and the website, so that's where they can place their order. And then we've got a decorative, nice, big image down here at the bottom. In our case, let's see if we can let the tagline stand out but not compete with the overall logo that's up here at the top. We want to choose a fun font that really expresses the idea of authentic Italian crafted with passion, as if it was made by scratch in a kitchen. So let's see if we can find something that has kind of a handmade or crafted type feel for its font. I'm going to select it and zoom in on my area by pressing Command and the plus sign. Let's choose our type tool so we can highlight the entire text. Now, since this is a display type, we can get away with using some more fun type of fonts. With it highlighted, we can go up to our font selection, and one of the things you can employ are your filters. Your filters give you the ability to filter out all of the different fonts that you have on here. And since I want to have a more handwritten or hand-drawn style, I can either choose some of these scripted fonts or some of these hand-drawn or handwritten fonts that are already installed on my computer. So very quickly you can see how I can call out all of the unnecessary ones. Again, as I scroll over it, I'm looking for something that's both appropriate for a restaurant, a professional organization, but also something that's nice and readable. Some of these scripted fonts, especially things like this one, seem a little bit hard to read. Others may seem a little bit too childish or too handwritten. I found this font, which I really liked. It has a good blend of handwritten feel, handcrafted feel, but it's also very readable. So with it selected, I'm going to maybe break this into 2 lines. I think both of these lines are running together a little bit too much. If you ever have to space anything out, you can highlight your text and let's adjust the leading. Leading can be found under your character panel. It's these double A's right here on top of each other. By increasing this number, you can see that it will start to spread apart the amount of space between both of those lines. That's looking really good. Additionally, I may need to change the size or the placement of my font, but I think it's pretty good right there. Maybe the last thing I'll do is to change my appearance of the fill color for my text to match the red of my logo. I'll use the Roma colors that are down here. Later on, I may go in and change that up completely. Now that we've got our tagline set as display text, let's focus on some more of the subheads and headings and also the body copy for the rest of the design. Now for things like headings, subheads, and body copy, we want to make sure to choose a font that has a good variety of weights that allows us to have a hierarchy within its overall design. Headings should be nice and bold, body copy should be light but readable. We can test this out using our order and reservation area. I'm going to highlight both of the text. Let's go up and play around and choose some fonts. There's really nothing wrong with the font that's here. I just want to be able to see some of my other options. If we open this up, we may need to open up the filters and clear away any filters that are turned on. This way I can see all of my fonts. Again, we want to be able to find a font that comes in a variety of weights, but also gives us some readability to it. One font that I love to use is Avenir. If I don't see Avenir up here, I can start to type it in, A-V-E, there it is, and you can see it comes in a variety of different weights, from light all the way up to heavy, bold, black, even italics. So I'm going to make order and reservation be Avenir bold. So highlighting this, Avenir, here's heavy, and here's black. Let's go for Avenir black for this text. You can see it's a little bit too big, so I'm going to scale it down till it fits. And then finally, if I can't see the rest of my text, I need to change the size of my text box. There we go. So I can see it too. Now I can grab my type tool and highlight the phone number. And let's use a lighter version of Avenir. Avenir, let's do light. And there it is set here. Now there's a good order and a hierarchy to it. This is obviously bolder and it's grabbing my attention, and here's the other phone number to it. Some other things I can do is to play around with the sizing of it. So for instance, if I wanted the phone number to be a little bit larger, I can get away with doing this. Finally, let's center it up visually inside of the rectangle. Let's apply this font to Mighty Roma and see what it would look like. With it down here, choose it to be Avenir. Let's set it to be something normal like book. And then I can make it a little bit larger too. Again, maybe we'll make it the same width. To fill out that area. All right, now let's back out. And so far so good. This gives us a good idea of how we can format the rest of our design. Again, we may need to move around or resize any of our text boxes so that our text can appropriately fill the area. Let's focus our attention on the middle portion. If we zoom in, you can see this is going to be the part for the food reviews. Food reviews needs to be the most top level of the hierarchy, so it needs to be the biggest and boldest. Then within it, I've got the name and their review. The name needs to be second and the review needs to be third. So that's the order that I read it. So let's make food reviews nice and large. With it highlighted, Again, we were using Avenir black. I want to make it the size of it just a little bit larger so I can see it. Again, you may need to swap over to normal view to see everything and make sure it stays within your little margins. So I'm going to move this down just a smidge. That looks pretty good. Let's make the name Sophia also bold. Again, Avenir. Maybe in this case, we'll use a different version of bold. That looks like a good size for her. And then finally, let's highlight all of her review, the body copy. Change that to Avenir. In my case, either light or regular. Light looks like this, and regular or book is a little bit bolder. Let's go with book. Again, with it highlighted, I'm going to change the size of it until it all fits nicely inside of here. Now, one thing to note regarding the size of your text. Right now, this reads really well on my screen because I've got it blown up nice and big. However, once this prints off, this text is going to be mighty small, and if you've got difficulty seeing, it's going to be hard to read it. If I was to highlight the text now, let's choose it and highlight it. You can see I've set it to be 7 points. Typically, depending on the font, you don't want to go much far below 8 points. 8 to 10 is a good small range. So if I was to make this a little bit larger, we'll say 8 or even 9 points. One thing I can do is to change the size of my text box to make sure everything still fits. And if necessary, I can move other stuff around. I'm going to keep it at this size for now, at 9 points, so that it's nice and readable. Now, to quickly format the other ones, let's leverage our paragraph styles. So I'm going to highlight the name, Sophia Rossi. With it highlighted, open up your paragraph styles panel. And again, if you don't see it, you can go to Type and choose Paragraph Styles. With the paragraph styles opened up and with your text highlighted, you can click on the little plus sign to create a new style. Notice that this is automatically called Style 1. If you double click on it, there we go. This will open up the options for this style. And again, we've got it selected and we can give it a name. So I'm going to call this the reviewer name. We're not going to base it on anything, so make sure no paragraph style is selected, and the next style is also going to be the same style. Everything else is already saved as far as the font, the styling, the color, all of it. Now I can highlight the name Luca, and in one click I can choose reviewer name. Now, of course, when I did this, it made it larger, so let's make his text box a little bit larger. Let's do the same for Emma. Highlight the name Emma, click on reviewer name, and then change the size of her text box so we can see her as well too. Let's do the same for their reviews. So I'm going to highlight this first review for Sophia. I don't need the entire thing, just the first part of it. Again, going back to our paragraph styles panel, if we click on the plus sign, this will create a new paragraph style. You can then double click on the style off to the side, and let's give it a new name. This is our review body copy, whatever you want to call it. Again, based on no paragraph style, next style will be the same style. Finally, we'll say OK, and let's apply it to Luca's. With it selected, I can do Command A, and I can do the review body copy. It changes the font and formatting. All I have to do is to change the size of his text box so I can see it. His is a little bit longer, so let's move everything down. I'm going to hold down Shift and select Emma and all of her stuff. Whoops, don't want that. I want to get Emma's text box. I'm using my arrow keys to move it down. And then finally, let's apply her review body copy. And I can place it and get it to fit nicely on there too. Great, this is looking really good. Let's zoom back out. I can go into preview mode and see what this looks like. One thing to do with these food reviews is make sure everything is consistently spaced out. So if necessary, you can use your arrow keys to nudge things back up so that it's nice and evenly visually spaced. Let's do the same thing for the dessert menu. I want this to have the same look and feel as the other area, so that means we're going to be using some of the same fonts and formatting. As far as the size goes, I can see that I used Avenir Black 16 point for this one, so I'm going to set this to be Avenir Black as well. Avenir Black 16 point. Nice and large, nice and readable. Again, if necessary, I can highlight this dessert menu and I can go over to my paragraph styles and I can make a paragraph style for it. We'll make a new one, double click on it. I'm going to call this my menu title. Make sure it's based on no paragraph style and the same style and say OK. Let's format this body copy. Hey, this body copy could be about the same size as the other stuff that we have. So again, if I was to choose the review body copy, automatically you can see it'll give us this size of the font and style. All I need to do is to make sure I can read it. So I'm going to click and drag and see how much room it takes up. I can see it takes up about that much space. So let's move some things up. I've got it selected, hold down Shift and select this title. I can move that up. There's our little flag. We'll put it back up there too. And I can hold down Shift and multiple select and move it into place here. That's looking nice. If necessary, I may need to change up the placement and size of my picture too. Let's do the same for each of the different menu items. For this, Avenir Black. The size of it, maybe I'll make it a little bit smaller. It doesn't need to be so bold or so big. For the body copy, Avenir will do light. Let's see if I can get it all to fit within 10 or so points. There's 9, there's 8. Let's see if I can get everything to fit nicely within 9. Finally, I need the price to be bold as well too. So Avenir Black. There we go. We want this to stay nice and in line. Another thing you can do to be able to make it stand out is maybe we want to get rid of the little space here, and I'm going to highlight my $sign and make it a superscript. That way it kind of stands out a little bit differently. A final thing that I can do is we can make the font be a different color. Let's change its fill color to be something like red, just for now. Once I've got one designed, let's design out or set up a paragraph style for the rest. So this will be the title for this one. Going over to my paragraph styles, I'll make a new one. Can double click on this one, and we'll call this the menu item title. We'll say OK. Highlight the body copy. This will be a menu item body. Then we'll highlight the price. This will be the menu price. Now let's apply these to all the different parts. Very quickly, I can click on the name of each, or the text box of each of the titles, and rather than using my type tool to highlight it, I can just go to my paragraph styles and I can do a menu item title, and it automatically formats it. So choose this, menu item title, oops, and there's that. So one click makes it very easy to reformat everything. Menu item title. I can also do the same for the body copy. Select the body copy for each, and then menu item body copy. Then all I have to do is to resize my text box so I can see everything. You can see I didn't get rid of all the dummy text that was inside of that one. Choose my next one, menu item body copy, and then resize it. Looks like I did a bad job getting rid of my extra dummy copy. Repeat this process for all of your other text. Everything formatted using my paragraph styles, I got a little bit of a problem. Remember, I wanted my $sign to be a superscript. Well, in this case, it didn't superscript the other ones. This is because we only changed the characteristics of one particular character and not the entire paragraph. So to do this, we need to set up a character style. I'm going to highlight this little $sign, open up your character styles panel, let's click on the plus sign here. As with the paragraph styles, it'll create a new style, and I can double click on it and give it a name. I'm going to call this the $sign. Again, this is based on none, no keyboard shortcut. Now, all I have to do to fix the $signs is to highlight the others and choose it. Highlight the others and choose it. And I'm getting rid of this little space that's after that one too. When I go to zoom out and see everything, so far so good. I do see one other major issue. Check out the alignment of all of my prices that are on this. You can see how they're starting to veer off a bit. And that was because when I started to resize everything, it simply pulled everything still to the left. I want all of these prices to be aligned to the right so that they're along this right-hand edge. Now that can easily be done. All I have to do is to change the paragraph style. If you click on Paragraph Styles, remember we formatted that to have all the same menu price style. To edit a paragraph style, you can double click on the blank space again. This will open up the style and simply find where the characteristic is inside of these settings. So it's not under the basic formatting. Here it is under indents and spacing. Here's where I can change my alignment. Instead of it being aligned left, let's align everything to the right. If we turn on preview, this will show you how everything is nice and aligned and how it automatically lined up inside of their box, regardless the size of the box. Now let's say OK. Now I've got a good consistent alignment. The last thing I need to do is I can see that my text is going outside of my margin. I need to move everything upward. So to do this, I'm going to click and drag over all of my text. Actually, let's go ahead and click and drag over the entire dessert menu. Now I don't want to have this background piece selected, so I'm going to hold down Shift and click on it to deselect. Now I can click and drag upward until my text is out of the way down here. In doing this, now I need to change my picture so that it doesn't overlap. With it selected, maybe I'll recrop it, and I'll use my arrow tools to just nudge it back up. Let's go back into preview mode and zoom back out so I can see my entire design. Everything is coming along very nicely. Hopefully I've given you a couple of things to think about. Now this isn't the end of it. I still have to format everything for the second page, making sure that the design is nice and consistent for the first page. But since I've got one area designed and set up, it should go quickly to reformat everything for the rest of the other areas. The last thing that you can do is to also play around with your coloring of each of the parts of your design. You don't have to keep the background nice and solid white. If anything, you can change it up to be any color that you choose from the swatches panel. If you click on the very background swatch, this is just a large rectangle that's in the background, we can change its fill color to be any of the swatches in the Roma Colors folder. So if I open up that folder, I'll even click and drag down. Whoops, let's bring it back up. There we go. Any of these. So you can see how changing it to a different color gives it some different look and feel. Now if I do this, obviously some are going to be a little bit more readable than others. If I make the background darker, then I can't read my dark text. I need to be able to change up the color of it. That's easy enough to do. If I made it a light background, I can get away with a lighter version as well. So as you work through this, make sure everything is nice and readable, everything has a good formatting, and also everything stays within the margins and constraints of the template that I give to you. Once you finish designing both the front and back portion of this menu, save this as an InDesign file. So we'll go to File and Save. If necessary, you can give it a new name by going to File, and let's do a Save As. This will allow us to save it as whatever version of InDesign that you have. And I'm going to add Mighty Roma and add my name to it. So I'd call it a menu. The format's still going to be an InDesign file. Make sure you know where it's being saved to and click Save. Upload your InDesign file to the class page for this project.